All right, listen up. The scribes, well, they've been burning the midnight oil, translating some of our oldest, most out-there lore into a language we can all use in the 21st century. What you're about to see is a restricted dossier. Think of it as a new field guide for a whole new era of hunting.
So, welcome initiates. For generations, we've gotten by on rituals, salt lines, cold iron, you know the drill. But the threats out there are getting smarter, and so are we. This dossier, this is your official deep dive into the real mechanics of what we do. Your real training starts right now.
So, let me just throw this out there. What if every single spell, every sigil, every monster you've ever hunted wasn't actually magic? What if it was all just a manifestation of some seriously advanced physics that we're only now starting to get our heads around? What if John Winchester's journal was just, the beginner's guide to a much deeper, much weirder quantum reality?
And look, this isn't just some crazy theory we cooked up. The men of letters have been developing what we call the myth to mechanics model. It's basically a new playbook, a way to translate everything we thought we knew to see the hunt not as this battle of good versus evil, but as an engineering problem that needs solving.
Okay, Section 1. Let's start with the most basic part of the toolkit. And no, I'm not talking about what's in the trunk of the Impala. I'm talking about you, the hunters themselves. You know that bond between hunters, right? Especially partners like the Winchesters. It always felt, different, special. Well, we finally have a name for it. Entanglement harvesting. It's the ability for two people, two systems, to literally pull correlated information right out of the fabric of space-time. This isn't just a feeling, people. It's a measurable, physical process. So, to put it in plain English, Sam and Dean Winchester weren't just brothers who hunted monsters. They were, for all intents and purposes, a pair of finely tuned biological quantum detectors. Their connection, their entanglement, let them sense disturbances in reality that any solo hunter would completely miss. Remember Sam's visions early on? That was basically a temporary power-up of their natural ability to harvest this non-local info. And what about their most important piece of gear? That 67 Impala. It was so much more than a car. Think of it as a mobile Faraday cage for the soul, a shielded quantum cavity. Its main job wasn't getting from point A to point B. It was to stabilize their little bubble of reality, protecting the hunters from all the chaotic quantum noise of the world, and keeping their own quantum state from just falling apart. All right, so now that we've covered the detectors, let's talk about what they're actually detecting. It's time to seriously update the old bestiary, because it turns out every monster you've ever faced, it wasn't just a monster. It was a physics lesson. So in quantum computing, noise is basically anything that screws up your data. It creates errors and makes the whole system lose information. That process is called decoherence. Well, guess what a monster is? It's a living, breathing source of quantum noise. It's actively punching errors into the source code of reality. Using this new model, we can now classify our targets with actual scientific precision. Get a load of this, the Hunter's Noise Codex. A ghost? That functions as an amplitude damping channel. It literally sucks energy out of a room, causing what we'd call a bit flip error. A demon is a phase damping channel. It doesn't steal energy, it corrupts information. It lies, it twists things. And a leviathan? Oh, that's the big one. A depolarizing channel. Just pure chaos, throwing every possible error into the system, pushing everything toward total meltdown. So I want you to really let that sink in. Think about what this means. Every time you salt and burn some bones, you are not just doing a ritual. Every single hunt is a quantum error correction protocol. You're not just getting rid of a ghost. You are literally debugging the source code of reality.
Okay, so now let's zoom out. From these little glitches to the entire operating system of the cosmos. All those big wars, heaven versus hell, God versus the darkness, they had some serious physical consequences.
There's this theory in cosmology called the Kibble-Zurich mechanism. I want you to imagine reality is a big, calm lake of water. Now, a cosmic war is like trying to flash freeze that entire lake in a split second. The change happens way too fast for the ice to form perfectly. So what do you get? You get cracks. You get defects. And those topological defects, those are the rifts to other worlds, the apocalypses, the really nasty monsters that come pouring through when the fabric of the universe gets put under too much stress.
And what about guys like Chuck, the ones writing the story? His power wasn't just, writing things and making them happen. No, it was way weirder. It was retrocausality.
He was using a quantum principle called post-selection. He'd basically decide on the ending he wanted, and that future choice would send ripples backward through time, forcing the present to line up with his ending, no matter how crazy or improbable it was.
Which brings us to our final section, the most classified part of this whole briefing. We're talking about the real purpose of our order and the secret that's been hiding in plain sight, right here in the bunker.
So I gotta ask you, after hearing all this, what do you think the men of letters were really doing? All these archives, these bunkers, all this secrecy. What was the endgame?
And if your answer is building the world's most dangerous library, well, you're missing the big picture. It was never just about collecting lore.
It was about building a machine. Our founders weren't just scholars, they were architects, and their goal was to engineer reality itself. The blueprint they were using is something called quantum error correction. We've already established that monsters are noise that cause errors in reality, right? Well, QEC is the engineering process of finding those errors, figuring out what they are, and fixing them on the fly, all without crashing the whole system.
Now look at how it all snaps together. The bunker isn't a library. It's a shielded architecture designed to protect the physical qubits, that's us, the books, everything, from decoherence. All those wards and sigils we paint everywhere, those are stabilizer codes. They're diagnostic tools that tell us what kind of quantum error we're dealing with and where it is. And the entire network of bunkers across the country, it wasn't a social club. It was a distributed, continent-spanning, fault-tolerant quantum computer, built for one purpose, to protect the logical state of reality itself.
So there you have it. That's the dossier. The old lore isn't wrong, not at all. It's just incomplete. It's the user manual for a classical world, but we're living in a quantum universe. Which leaves us with one final thought to take with you out there. What if every myth, every monster, every miracle is just a physics problem we haven't solved yet? Your initiation is over. Now the real work begins. Happy hunting.